It's your boy, Ed the Dread, and you are tuned in to the Money Mouth Podcast. Yes, sir. Ow. Money Mouth Monday coming at ya. And we are hyped up, hyped up for the main event, Hip Hop Battle Royale, Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Now, we're about a week into this hip hop battle, and it is the biggest thing to ever go down in the history of I can think of. Millions and millions and millions of streams, millions and millions of views on YouTube. People lit up on whose side they're on. So I'm gonna dive into it a little bit, having been you know, birthed into hip hop pretty much, being a biracial black male in America. Uh, it's like what I would consider to be my culture. I don't play basketball or football or any of the athletic things that most black males in American society do. So, when you think about just from an outsider's perspective looking in, those things as well as hip hop are like the driving forces of the African American community. And hip hop would be the one that I'm involved in. Now, with that said, I had a long hiatus from hip hop. I would say that I didn't listen to it for just about 8 to 10 years. Um, I started off listening to Zach De La Roca from Rage Against the Machine. He is first and foremost the first MC that I would say I listen to. If you don't consider Rage rap, you're tripping. It's got like a rock beat to it, but Zach is clearly busting out hip hop flow with a bit of angst and yelling and rock and roll mixed in, right? Nas was my favorite MC for dang near the whole time that I listened to hip hop. Dead Prez, M1 and Stickman, they were a group that influenced me quite a bit. Outkast is by far my favorite hip hop group ever. Andre 3000 has had one of the largest influences on, my style, my character, my being. Wu-Tang Clan, just one of the biggest groups I listened to as a kid. I mean, I was riding my bike to get albums from Blockbuster when they were dropping when I was in like 6th, 7th grade of these hip hop artists. So I honestly would consider myself, a deeply rooted hip hop fan, although there was a long period where I didn't listen to it. Now I just make it, and that's kind of like a thing that happens with evolution of consciousness and stuff, like when you're a person or a kid flying on a plane, you have no clue how the fucking plane is flying. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm in this thing. This is amazing, right? And then you learn how planes fly, like the angle of the wings, the speed, the way that they turn the little flaps in the back, and then wow, we have takeoff. And then maybe at some point, if you feel inclined to it, due to the fact that you now know how a plane works, you might learn to be the person to fly it, and you are now the pilot. Right, so just kind of natural evolution of consciousness, like I said, which is an album of a band which I liked a lot, which we'll step into shortly. Right, but having listened to hip hop my whole life, in one of my most recent podcasts, I know I spoke about how the N word affected, my life, and having listened to hip hop and then starting saying it myself, and my mom saying it, and it was just a thing, and I got to a point where I was honestly just sick of hearing what was said in hip hop, how they spoke about us, how they spoke about our community, our women, and just what happens now. Again, when you look at it from an outside perspective, it might not all be just the hip hop artists. It could be the powers that be that own all the media that are helping to perpetrate certain stereotypes and such. But at whatever cost, it felt too troubling to me to listen to the music anymore. At that point in my life, I was living in Pittsburgh. I was playing professional soccer, but I was actually getting into yoga sana for the first time. And the more I got into things like breathing and, the asanas, the less hip hop was appealing to me. I mean, I'm not saying that I had, become a vegan yet and stopped drinking alcohol and any of those things, but you know, the more and more little bits of light and consciousness seeped in, the less I wanted to be a part of the things that were just every day making you feel bad. So around 2010, I think it was, that I really stopped listening to hip hop. The last album that I bought, and I mean, again, I was going to Tower Records on Monday at midnight to try to check for the albums that come out Tuesday. The last CD that I went and bought of hip hop was Nas Untitled. I think that came out in 2008 or 2009. So I was getting into reggae, way more reggae. Bob Marley, Capleton, Sizzla, Buju Banton, and then less hip hop. So around 2013, I ended up going to a festival called the Friendly Gathering. Um, Twiddle is the headliner and the band that put the festival together. First festival I'd ever been to. Half pipe next to a lake on top of a mountain in Vermont. First time I took Molly, and the experience made me almost never listen to hip hop again. I went strictly into jam band / electronic funk type music, and could care less about talking about killing people. I was new. I was into loving people. Um, so, with that said, the reason I crept back into hip hop is actually because I became a teacher. And, one of my largest organically gaining views for a post on my social media has to do with, my view on racism on Maui. Is Maui a racist place? And just talking about one single experience that happened. Now, the kids out here listen to hip hop, and they don't really ever get to experience the inner city and or being around a majority of black people. So uh it was very trying for me, as I think at that point the only African American male teacher at the school. And at that time, the kids could also carry like boom boxes around in their backpack. So it was like once the bell rang, every period I heard the most ridiculous rap you could ever listen to. Like, the stuff that comes out nowadays. And again, not to say that we didn't have any of that back in my day. I mean, DMX was saying some really raunchy shit. Uncle Luke was saying some crazy shit. There was definitely that there, but it wasn't like the mainstream, like 12-year-old girls are screaming this stuff out. It was like, if you were a hip hop head, you was probably listening to that or had experienced that at least. It might not be the thing playing every day in your boombox or your Walkman or Discman or whatever we had those times. Right. But hearing what the kids were listening to, and just knowing, what I know from watching myself develop as a person and the people around me that, I'm still associated with, uh, listening to that music and saying those things out loud and wanting to embody that is more detrimental to your development than not. So it was at that point that I was kind of like, if that's what y'all listen to, fuck it, I'm a rap. And like all the students were like, nah, you ain't, mister, you won't rap. I was like, fuck that, give me your few favorite artists. I'm gonna check them out, see what they all have in common, see what's up. And at the time it was like the Baby, Tekashi 6ix9ine. I know they said Tupac, and that's like a whole nother story. And somebody else. But what all these videos that I watched of these artists had in common was that they had a lot of money in the video, they had guns in the video, and they all had face tattoos. And half naked women. So I was like, you know what I'm saying? Money ain't nothing to come by. All my female friends are half naked out here on the beach, and fuck it, I'll just get face tattoos and become a rap artist. And like the students were like, no, you won't. So that spring break, I got my first face tattoo, and I have like 5 or 6 now because it's just part of the game, I guess, But I'm in, I'm fully, I would consider myself just a musician. I'm a singer songwriter. I make beats. I rap as well. I would honestly just say that making hip hop is the easiest of all the music because it's just like you can use a freaking keyboard and make the whole beat, and then you just rap. Like you don't have to play guitar, you don't have to play drums, you don't have to play all these instruments. If you do, it's better. It'll help you in your production and stuff, but it's not necessary by any means. So that was my introduction back into the hip hop game. And I've literally probably only listened for, I don't listen to it all the time. I listen to tons of other stuff. Uh, you know, but what I do listen to is, Dead Press. I mean, still the same people that I used to. But of the new people, I would honestly say that, well, this isn't a new person. 50 Cent, I like a lot of 50 Cent. It was what I kind of listened to back in the day as one of the last people. Lil Wayne was one of the last people I was listening to back in the day. But of like the new age guys, J. Cole, definitely. And I mean, not like I love all the shit that comes out of his mouth, but Drake. I'm honestly a guy that I have tracks where I'm using his beats, like dissing him and his style of how he talks about women and how all this shit. So by no means am I like gonna say any of these critiques in the beef because I'm like riding for Drake or nothing. I have no vested interest in either of these hip hop artists. I could care less. Again, hip hop is a great genre. I love it, but what's created in it is kind of crazy. So the beef is actually kind of crazy. I was there for Biggie and Tupac. I was there for Nas and Jay Z. I was there for Jadakiss and Dipset, and whoever else, Cassidy and some people were battling. But this one is like I've never seen it happen so fast. Like I felt like I opened up YouTube and like it was like, oh, this track came out and you listen to it, and then like an hour later, it's like, oh, the other guy dropped a track. You're like, what the fuck? And then I took the surf team to Hana for the weekend and I missed like 3 tracks. And that was only in like 48 hours. And I had to like come back and listen to them all. But I'll say that it's crazy. I can't believe they talk so much about each other's children. I mean, talking about your mom and your dad and shit, that's cool. It's like whatever. Talking about your wife, your baby mama, I think like in the rap game, that's whatever. But like, damn, yo, when you bring your kids into it, it's kind of like your kids gonna have to listen to this shit later or something. You ain't gonna be able to scrub this off the internet. But aside from that, it's uh, I will say that it's entertainment. Kendrick, I had honestly never listened to anything his. I used one or two of his beats because like I had heard the hooks, but I honestly can't say that I have ever listened to a Kendrick Lamar song like fully through. I couldn't tell you the name of his album. I know that he is very popular. I know that people say he's in the top 3 of hip hop artists. I know that he's had I guess his first album has been in like the top 200 for a very long time. But as far as me being a person who's out of the hip hop game and then came back to the hip hop game, I don't know how relevant he really is until this battle started. If people are still listening to that album from however long ago, that's cool, right? But when it comes to the world of you can make a diss track and then the shit comes an hour later, someone's response, like if you ain't dropped in a long ass time, like your relevance isn't really there. So I'll say that off start. uh when it comes to entertainment and battle and hip hop, like I kind of want to be able to bob my head like while the thing's happening. So for the first maybe two, no, okay, I'll say for the first like 4 tracks, um I think Kendrick kind of had it, right? Like I'm not super a fan of just his flow and like how he sounds. It's just strange to me. I don't know. It's awkward. He's kind of squeaky. Drake definitely is just more smooth, right? But when he addressed him as like the father that he is, and like how he talking about women and all this shit, like that was, yo, that was like a stab, compared to like being like, yo, this is like how you look, this is your shoe size. And to be fair, Drake was honestly going at like a lot of people. Like there was probably like 10 people he was shooting at that track. But up to Euphoria, I would say that Kendrick had it going on, right? But then after that, like it's over. It's hands down Drake. Like there's no, I mean, when I was listening to the songs, like I was standing up going, I can't fucking believe he would say that shit. Like, you know, um, I don't know the names of them, right? But the like Not Us and whatever the other one Kendrick put out before that, they're they're kind of it's fucked up, the shit that he says about him. Um, but I don't know. I think we kind of live in the world of like where the receipts at. Like if you gonna call a person a snitch, like you wear the paperwork. If you gonna call a person a predator, a child predator, like where the paperwork. Um, like I know rich people get away with stuff, and I think he said like I'm too rich for that accusation. And people are like, oh no, you can't just you can get away with stuff. I think what he means by saying he's too rich for that accusation is like, yo, why the fuck would that guy ever want to talk to a teenager, bro? Like he could probably have any chick on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where he's at with that one in my mind, right? But bro, when you bringing up shit about like is your child even yours, and I don't feel like that motherfucker even responded to that. Like he just it was like bam diversion, like you a pedophile, your boys in your camp are pedophiles, like da 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 da, like all this shit. And again, those things are legit. Like I like that's battle rap, that's hip hop. I like that he's going at him, but where are the receipts? And it can't be like some fucking kid said you texted him a bunch. Like people say, oh yeah, they texted me all the time, and that could have been one fucking text. Like people exaggerate shit nowadays. Again, not trying to defend a brother. Maybe he did text a motherfucker all the time, but uh he completely addressed that shit in his rebuttal. I don't think Kendrick said shit about this guy, fucking Dave Free, and it's not looking too good. I tell you, like, bro, it's not looking too good if fucking you ain't responded. You actually ain't married your chick and you proposed to her like that many years ago. Like, I don't know. It that just for me, and add to the fact that you can just bob your head. Like I kind of want to be able to bob my head. It doesn't need to be a party dance song if it's a fucking diss track, but like it's kind of unbearable two of Kendrick's. Like they're just too slow, too fucking like what the fuck is this? Some morbid shit? Like I want to hear it. Like pick the tempo up some or make it a little bit more upbeat. But like I said, I'm just Ed the Dread, fucking telling you my opinion. But up to Euphoria, Kendrick was on it, and then fucking Drake closed that fucking shit out with a dagger in the coffin. He was even like, "Yo, where the proof, bitch? I ain't even. This was fun." He's like, "This is fun exercise. I'm glad that I got you to write again because your fans missed you." I mean, bro, the guy hadn't done an album in a long time, and I mean, I think my understanding is that the only feature on his first album was Drake. So, like, I don't know, bro. That kind of also is like it for me too. Like, say whatever the fuck you want about the people he interacts with and how he tries to use them to get wherever. But if that motherfucker gets on your track, like you're a star now. So I don't know. I'm giving it to OVO. I'm giving it to Dreezy Drake. Um and I just appreciate the battle. I've been in battles. I battled a bunch of people out here on Maui, and sometimes in a battle you just look at a person, you look at what they do. You might not know them, but you're gonna look at the way they carry themselves and what they got going on about themselves, and make an assumption and say it. You might not have the proof. You might not. I mean, shit. I remember battling the guy. I looked at his shoes. I didn't have shoes on, and I looked at his shoes and I was like, yeah, bro, you got on fucking clean ass Vans. You don't even skate. Like, I never seen you at the skate park. And then, like, I swear, like 9 months later, I seen that motherfucker at the skate park and he was like ripping. And I was like, yo, okay, bro. Like, I mean, I didn't like apologize for because it was a it's a battle. That's how it is. So it's like there's no they shouldn't apologize to each other. There shouldn't be like like you don't really have to feel bad. Again, I don't think they should have brought the kids into the thing. The baby mama is cool, but like when you're actually running at someone's kid and calling the kid out by name, that's kind of bust. So both of them is like get a negative on that for me. But hey, when there's like hundreds of millions of views, fucking y'all did something cool. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody on the planet is paying attention to this. So big up to those homies for that. Fuck what they said about each other's kids. Kendrick, you should probably respond about your wife and Dave Free. And that's the podcast. Ed the Dread coming at you. Click like if you like, share if you care, subscribe if you're going to do it. And if not, I don't give a fizzuck. We going to the top anyway. A hooey ho, Kako.